Is this just the beginning now of what's to come?
Yeah, you know, I think you had a good point. This may be the end in Boston. It is the beginning of a new wave.
We're at war.
We are at war, and it's gotten very complicated because we've gotten very good at shutting down the big stuff. You know, seeing money move across boundaries, big operational structures where they have, you know, the core of Al-Qaeda and getting motivated people to come, go to training camps and all the rest. But now what you're seeing is people with American citizenship or American student visas, and they're able to move freely in the United States. They may or may not have training, but it's so easy to do this. You can do it literally from the stuff that's in your mom's kitchen.
But let me ask you this question, because it's just an observation. Allegedly, they robbed a 7-Eleven.
Right.
That means to me they weren't in there for Slurpees. They came because they didn't have money.
Right. It wasn't all that well planned out.
Okay. So does that mean that they don't have anyone behind them? That there is no funding? There was no escape plan?
They may not have been much of an escape plan, but I think WALID is right. They have had some kind of paramilitary training. I mean, these are not guys who just read about it on the internet, went to Home Depot, bought some pellets, put in a pressure cooker, and then that was it. They've got a little bit more training than that. But I think what's important to think about now is, you know, we've always had disaffected young men, right? I mean, 50 years ago, disaffected young men, for whatever reason, they would get drunk, they would steal hubcaps, they would beat each other, whatever. Now what happens is those disaffected men with that motive, they have a multiplier effect. They can get online, they see other people like them, they whoop each other up, and now they have the means to do something about it.
They are Muslim, WALID. This is a sad statement for Muslims in our country. I'm sure, you know, they would prefer these things not happen and impinge what they believe to be a very peaceful religion. Where do we go from here? As all of these events happen, the minds of Americans, particularly those who were injured or killed, do change.
Well, that's true, but let's begin by educating Americans, educating ourselves that there is a difference between being Muslim or Christian or Jewish or member of any religion on the one hand and being radicalized into an ideology. So these two persons most likely will know more later, probably with the interrogation, became jihadists. And look, for example, in the Arab Spring, in Egypt, in Libya, in Syria, you have millions of people who are rising against the radical Islamists, rising against the Muslim Brotherhood.
No, that's a good point. I want to ask you, what are your questions at this point? What are you asking yourself about what happened and about these brothers?
I am now concerned that they are small piece in a much bigger piece. They have been manipulated. The uncle was right. They've been radicalized, and now one is dead, one is in custody. What's going to happen? And that's really the strategic result of this operation. We won tactically. They have been eliminated. But those who are on the outside, mark my words, it's rarely that I say that, are going to be taking the footage of what happened and are going to come up with a narrative like this. We shut down Boston. 2 of our jihadists were able to kill Americans, injure 100, kill one officer or security officer, and then Boston was shut down for a few days. That's how they're going to frame it for the next generation. Tell them 2 can do it in Boston, another 2, like Katie was saying, will do it in Chicago or in Washington or elsewhere.
KT, final thought for this segment? I know you'll stick around.
Yeah, I'll stick around, but I think that the important thing for every American to understand is this is just the beginning. You are going to see more and more of these against soft and civilian targets, and as long as people are willing to kill women and children and innocent civilians and maybe kill themselves, and along with it, you're going to see more and more.
Well, next segment, let's talk about how we can get smarter.
Right.
All right. Greg?
Coming up, we're going to hear